So if fear causes impatience and impatience causes stuttering, why not simply stop the fear instead in order to make me more patient? So the problem here is that in order to solve a problem, especially in the most effective way, you're going to have to address a causative variable instead of the correlative variable. Now, fear here is a correlative variable because there have been many times inside of college where I'd have a presentation, for example, and I would be completely fluent, even if I have a lot of social anxiety. I see people staring at me, et cetera, that makes me go even more patient. And then that amount of patience, of course, makes me entirely fluent inside of those situations, right? So that's exactly why you do not have to stop the anxiety itself in order to become a lot more patient. Now, there are, of course, times where fear itself is going to make you a lot more impatient and thus make you stutter more. However, this is exactly why fear itself is a correlation, since if I simply tell you that fear actually makes me fluent, that alone sort of makes no sense. Like, your brain simply can't really process that logically. Simply because we cannot ignore that middleman step, which is the patience versus impatience, right? So it really does not actually matter which fear you have, as long as you can learn how to be a lot more patient, which is through mouth mechanics. It's the two brain processes that you're gonna have to need in order to speak fluently. Of course, the first process is the mouth has to set up exactly where it has to be, and then second is the intentionality on speaking out loud in that order, of course, right? So, and that is all you're gonna have to need in order to speak fluently, regardless if you have a lot of anxiety or not inside of the background. And then on top of all that, it's also very hard in order to address every single fear anyways, because some fears are going to help you out there and some fears won't. And then that's ultimately going to lead into an infinite regression of exposure therapy to try to address every single fear out there. It's kind of impractical, if you ask me. And the great news is that you don't even have to do any of that, because it's all about the causative variable. It's all about addressing the patience. Okay, the patience is waiting for the mouth to reach to the right position first before you even have the intentionality on actually saying something out loud. Okay, that is ultimately what having the proper timing is all about. That's what having the patience is all about. All of these things are synonymous and interchangeable with one another.